Hey crew, welcome back to the Matty Mitchell Full Illustrations, or Let's Go Full Illustrations. In this episode I'll be working on some full coloured Father's Day illustrations. The first illustration coming up is done for All In, or Alan. He's a great guy from the NFT community, and on Twitter I reached out and said, hey, describe a few of the features of your dad, what they've been up to and stuff like that, and I'll try and get as many sketches done as possible. And in this sketch he mentioned that his dad was a landscaper for both interior and exterior, and also an ex-professional football player or soccer player. And so I thought it'd be really fun to have these two bushes kind of going for it. So you got the short shrubs and the big shrubs sort of going after the ball. What I can already notice now in here, I've already forgotten one of the studs in the shoe, but makes all for a bit of fun. So in this illustration, I was trying to do these kind of quickly and make sure I knock it out within a night, but I had to make a couple of differences. Just the leaves on each one had to just be slightly different. So on the left hand side of one, the taller guy, he has a little bit spikier leaves, and the other one has rounded, even though they're pretty different squared. I just needed to make that small difference in my head. But drawing a pattern on a soccer ball with a face is incredibly difficult. So I just sort of roughed it out and kept it in there. But it is no high quality there, but it was fun. So I changed the colors of the green bushes a little bit. Couple of the sock stripes, a little bit of the grey beard, grey moustache I should say. That's kind of fun. A few shadows adding in, and then we have a couple of shadows on the legs. So I'm just sort of trying to find where the light's coming from now that I'm looking back at this. I guess it's sort of coming a little bit straight on and down. A few highlights to really give it that sort of shine of light, and for the lack of a better term, pop off the page a little bit. What do we have next? Oh, hardworky, dandy, mischievous. And this one was kind of fun because it just represents being like mischievous. Don't you think? Like a water balloon. Like you walk into your house, if someone's got a water balloon, you're like, all right, the party's about to start. Everyone's having fun. And so with this one, like I can imagine a dad who's a bit mischievous is like, all right, we're going to have a water balloon fight, but I'm not telling anyone. I've got all the water balloons. And in this drawing, I really liked working with the weight of the water balloon. Like, you know, when you hold a water balloon, it doesn't want to sit in your hand fully. It kind of wants to like move its way out. So I wanted to sort of have that sort of sitting in there. The mischievous smile, the naughty sort of grin and eyes, the weight of the water in there. And I was like, man, how can I make it feel a little bit more summery, watery in there and make sure the water feature comes out? So just coming up in a second, I start having water sort of drip and squirt out. I think, oh, there we go. I got one squirting out. Like it's got a little hole in there. Like you want to get to the naughtiness pretty quickly. What do we got? Fixer, bold, and strong. All right. Oh, yes, this one. So this one's like everyone's got one of those people in their lives. So it's like, oh yeah, I'll fix it. I'll just fix it myself. Whether it's their fence, their chair, something in their house, and it's never quite fixed quite perfectly, or it's like really like DIY. And so one of the people on my TikTok feed reached out to me and said, hey, isn't it funny that he's putting glue on the top piece? And I was like, oh, I didn't even notice that had happened. But now I see it. I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. That's really interesting. But it sort of plays into the character of Mr. Fixit, who would fix it and then put it on the wrong side and be like, dang it. Why is it like I can never get it right straight off the bat? So he's fixing it himself. He's the coffee cup. He's got coffee in him already. A big grey moustache. I was really into the grey moustaches for this whole Father's Day thing. What else do we have here? Shading these things can take quite a bit of time. I probably got distracted. And some white highlights in there just to give it that real silvery tone. Some big wisps coming out. I was trying to play around with a little bit of texture just for the cup. Didn't want it to be too much. So the glue comes down, it's off the wrong side, but it is glued on the right side on the top of the cup. But now he's just going to be annoyed that he glued the wrong side. A little bit of coffee drizzling down. Getting into his eye a little bit. Little highlights coming in. So with the highlights, I'm sort of, like the low light shadow, coming in. I'm sort of trying to make sure that there's pieces that are getting light on them still. So like the cup handle has some light coming in because it's going to be reflected a little bit, but it's still shaded from the cup. And then we got the highlights coming in, so there's going to be little spots of reflection here and there. But then it's like one side, it's got the main shadow. So you see, I almost went the opposite way with the shadow, just out of habit or something. So this is a fun one, still waiting for Mook. So a little piece under me, my biological father left when I was 4, something like that. So I've never had a dad. I never really cared that much about it though. But I noticed that a lot of people, when I put this out on Twitter to say something about that, there's a few people who'd be like, still waiting, went out for milk, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. We got our own milk. It's kids that sort of had to figure out what being a person was with without a father figure. Not saying you all need a father figure. I didn't have one. I feel like I'm perfectly fine. Well, that's a bit iffy still. But yeah, it was sort of fun just to do this, being like, you know what, fuck it. We made it work ourselves. And yeah, just sort of a funny little thing. I think it sort of speaks for itself. The character's kind of fun. And then the low lights, trying to figure out how the milk in that work in the cup is always fun. Sort of gives it a little bit more depth. Adding some shadows, trying to figure out what works with the milk cup. Now I came up with this idea that it was going to be a missing father on the milk cup, and then a little bit of a rude thing, calling him a bit of a dick. But yeah, that's sort of where this one sort of landed. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. I had fun. Reach out on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and hit me up, and maybe you can get a sketch or something like that as well. All right. Cheers. Please subscribe.